Alright, so Mr. Glenn Fricker of Spectre Sound Studios basically dedicated almost a whole video towards me. I'm honoured. Basically calling me an idiot, calling me stupid for saying that changing guitar amps does make quite a significant change in your tone, in your sound. And I guess Glenn's arguing is, no, only speakers can do that. Change the speakers and that's the biggest change in your tone. Well, true to some extent, I think. I said something like maybe 40% of your tone change is due to the amp, 40% due to the speakers, and maybe 20% of variance. Yeah, I'll pull that out of my ass. All I know is I've got several amps that I've compared side by side. They don't all sound the same. And the example I gave was a Dual Rectifier versus like a 5150 or a 6505. Same circuitry, same thing basically. And the tone is quite a massive difference. So it basically calls me an idiot and has his own little sound clip there with a Dual Rectifier and a 5150. And I'll just play it for you.
Caddy, while I appreciate you attempting to challenge me to a battle of wits, a word of advice. Next time, don't show up unarmed.
Look, you stupid bastard, you've got no arms left!
Take a walk, fat boy.
Oh, what? Can't I be obnoxious too?
Did you bother to record anything? Did you take any frequency response graphs? Or is all this just based off you fucking around with a few amps in a room somewhere?
Is this still a debate these days? I mean, John from Sonic Drive Studios debunked this nonsense at least 2 or 3 years ago. He made a 2-part video series demonstrating that, no, different amps do sound significantly different. Go watch John's 2-part video series comparing amps using the same speakers, cabinets, IRs. Come back and tell me if you think they sound the same. They friggin' don't sound the same.
I mean, just listen to the gigantic difference between a 5150 and a Mesa Dual Rectifier. Now let me play you the second amp.
You were lying your ass off.
He made damn well sure that those were so closely tone matched. And then declares they both sound the same? No, how about mine? In the real world, a Dual Rectifier and a 5150 does not friggin' sound the same. I mean, you can't get 2 amps that are so different. That's an extreme example. But when you're dialing in amplifiers to get the best out of them, like I dial in the Dual Rectifier to get the best high gain sound I can get, I dial in the 6505 or 5150 to get the best sound I can get, high gain sound I can get, they're miles apart. Sure, I could probably put the Mesa Boogie Dual Rectifier in vintage mode and, you know, EQ and effects loop, and I can probably sculpt it to be very close to the 6505. And he's done something like that, and then proclaims Dual Rectifier and 5150 sound the same. Bullshit.
So let's hear just how big of a tone shift we're actually getting. Now, I doubt if you were listening to it, you really would have been able to tell. Is there a tone shift? Yes. Is it gigantic? No. Not as much as Caddy's Jam Cave was saying, that's for sure.
And yet, here it is again. kind of goes on and on. I mean, I'm not going to put every little clip on this video and address it, but it goes on and shows like a spectrograph sort of analysis. And being the competent audio engineer that he is, I'm sure he pulled out that frequency analysis tool and made sure those amps were really, really close. And then you're going to pull it out again and say, see, look how close they are. I'm not buying it, mate. I probably should find one for my door, Linux door, if there is one in existence, load it up with mine and compare. But I can't be fucked. You can hear the raw sound of both amps on my clips, and tell me they don't sound, significantly different or largely different. I don't need no fancy graphs to point that out. They fucking sound quite a lot different, actually. Maybe even more so than when I swap out the speakers from V30s to greenbacks. I've recorded that too. Let's see what the dual rectifier sounds like, with V30s and then switch to greenbacks. And the PV with V30s and then switch to greenbacks.
Check this out.
Yeah, no shit. Changing speakers makes quite a large difference, yes. But in my demo, quite a large difference between the 5150 and the dual rectifier on the same vintage 30 speakers. Question is, in my example, is it a bigger difference when I go from the PV to the dual rectifier? Or is it a bigger difference when I go from V30s to the greenback? I think with the dual rectifier, in my example, it's not really a huge difference between the V30s and the greenbacks. Yeah, you can tell there's a difference, but it's not really huge. But then when you listen to the PV from the V30s to the greenbacks, somehow it's a lot more noticeable. So that's kind of where I get my bullshit figure that I pulled out my ass, 40-40-20. I know that's probably not accurate, but hey, I got just as big of a shift, if not more, by switching amplifiers in this example than I got when switching from the V30s to the greenbacks with the dual rectifier. I should be a cheeky bastard and go through all my greenback IRs and V30 IRs and find just one of those greenback IRs that sound really, really, really close, if not almost exact to one of the V30 IRs that I've got. Because obviously, not all the greenback IRs sound the same, of course not. Not all the V30 IRs sound the same, of course not. Depends what mic is set with that specific IR and what position, what combination. Most of my greenback IRs sound quite different. Same with the V30 IRs I've got. Different mics, different setups. But I should play two specific examples and go, see? There's no difference between greenbacks and V30s, I just showed you. In fact, yes, I'm going to be a dick and I'm going to show you my Marshall greenback cabinet and my Mesa V30 cabinet sounding very similar. And just to be clear, these are not IRs, this is me miking the two cabinets in the same position. I hereby declare there's no difference, there's no significant difference between greenbacks and vintage 30s. I just proved it. Sarcasm, of course, but he says shit like that with a straight face, referring to Dual Rectifier and 5150 sounding the same. Yeah, moving the mic to those extremes are going to have extreme changes in tone, of course. For me, the whole point of having different amps is they sound quite different, they have different characteristics, they feel different, they respond different. Not every guitarist sits there in the studio just sitting there pulling their dick recording riffs all day. Some people just want to, you know, sit in their bedroom or their jam cave and just, you know, crank up different amps. You know why I like to sit in here and crank up different amps and jam with different amps in a band scenario? They sound different. That's all for me. So respectfully, fuck you, Glenn.